Of course, we are joined by Lawrence Obonyo. He is an advocate of the High Court from Lawrence Obonyo Legal Advocates. It is 21 minutes to 9, and we're looking at stories that made headlines around us, or rather across the week. And one of the stories that made headlines is that, let's look at this. The Kenya National Bureau of Statistics reported that September's inflation rate rose slightly to 4.6% from 4.5% in August, primarily driven by an increase in food and fuel prices. Looking at this, Lawrence, how significant is this rise in practical terms for an ordinary Kenyan?
For an ordinary Kenyan, it just means that life gets tougher. Because the prices are going up, and what we're seeing there, the statistics are statistics, but on the ground, what does it mean? You see that the cost of electricity is going up, the cost of fuel is going up. We have all these things that we have to take care of. So despite those statistics in terms of inflation, this, inflation, that, it's not a true representation of what's on the ground. That's how I would summarize it. The ordinary person would continue to have the burden of the cost of commodities go higher, and the inability to afford the same. Because in as much as the statistics may look flowery, but the ground remains the same. How much is someone buying a packet of unga? How much is buying a loaf of bread and all that? Yes. So
things are just, in a nutshell, it's just getting thicker and thicker.
Indeed. Sadly. Okay. Because the statistics will tell you that it is the figures are the way they are because of, they've said that it's the rise in terms of the cost of
food prices, and fuel prices.
You see, the two key important aspects of driving any economy. Because when we have to get to work, either you buy your fuel or you pay for transportation. That is pegged on how much the fuel costs. If it's a matatu, then the business owners have to factor that in. If it is your own car, you have to pay more for fuel so that you can get to work. And then at the end of the day, you're looking at affording the daily meals. You know, when we look at the key basics, you're talking about salt, sugar, a packet of flour, and groceries. Things are just the same, and people are getting
na zote zinaletwa kutoka mashambani kuja Kongoya. Natumia mafuta.
Lazima utumie mafuta. Na hata uko shambani, kama pengine mtu ananyunyizia maji, pengine cost ya dawa, fertilizer,
anatumia mafuta.
Based on that, let's look at, could you correlate this with a report that now shows that Kenya's economy has grown by 5% in the second quarter of 2025. So it says that the economy has grown by 5% on year in the second quarter of 2025, up from 4.6% in the same quarter last year. What's happening?
Okay, this is now the complicated bit of the little economics that I may know, because at the end of the day, the growth of the economy does not necessarily mean the lowering of the cost of living for the common person. The growth of the economy means that you have more money in circulation, you have a stronger shilling against foreign hard currencies, and you have a comparison of imports and exports. You're looking at a difference in terms of those, and then you say the economy is doing this way, the economy is doing that way. Because let's say if the dollar is 129 and maybe that drops to 128 against the shilling, then we'll say the economy is doing so well. But what does that reflect to the person who wants to buy unga? Absolutely nothing. Because this person will still buy the packet of flour at the same rate. So this flowery business of looking at how the economy is growing and everything, this is just to look at a holistic and a very narrow aspect of ours compared to theirs. But it doesn't mean that ours compared to theirs being better means that we are doing better. No, we're not doing better.
Niko na swali hapo. I think ni Miriam ama the world ama sote. Wanasema numbers don't lie. Right? Why are these numbers lying?
They're not lying. They're actually telling the truth.
That
but
uchumi umeimarika lakini hakuna kitu.
We are so confused right now.
So hali ya maisha na uchumi ni mambo mawili tofauti. Lazima tuelewe hivyo. Uchumi utaimarika, lakini hali ya maisha, hali ya gharama ya vitu haishuki.
Sasa umeimarika vipi?
But shouldn't it be easier when
kama uchumi
yes.
Should you make more money or should things be more affordable to you?
Things should be affordable.
Yes, so it's not about making money. Uchumi kuimarika means that you're making more money.
But if there's more money in circulation, that means it should also trickle down to ukuchini.
You will still suffer if someone says that you are earning $1 million and now you're earning 1.5, but you are paying a house of 500,000, but now you're paying 800,000. You will still suffer. It means that the economy has gone up, but you still are spending more.
And then, okay.
Aya, nimeshawapiga na mahesabu hapo.
What was your question?
Hapa mahali kidogo.
Wapi?
Sielewi
hali ya maisha.
Historia ya uchumi. Historia ya uchumi ni kama ni story za jaba.
It doesn't matter how much money you can get in your pocket. What matters is how much you're spending.
Okay, what
so
is
let us
uchumi?
reduce on the spending. When your spending goes lower, then even the little money that you have in your pocket will have more value.
Okay, wait. So how
ukipewa samani, ngoja. Ukipewa bilioni 1 ya Zimbabwe na upewe shilingi 100,000 ya Kenya, utachukua ipi?
Ya huku kwetu.
Sasa hiyo apply the same.
Tunakorogana.
Haya, uliza swali.
Mimi swali langu ni uchumi umeimarika. Sawa. Na nikipata pesa ni kwamba nitaenda kununua bidhaa za kutumia. Hizi bidhaa ziko ghali. Sasa huu uchumi hapa utakuwa umeimarika vipi?
Sababu wakiangalia uchumi hawaangalii tu hali ya wewe kununua ama zile pesa unazo. Wanaangalia tumeweza kuuza kama nchi. Wajua ile export na import.
Uchumi ni wao.
Uchumi ni ya kule juu sasa.
Okay.
Sasa wao wataangalia dola ya Marekani na dhidi ya Kenya, shilingi ya Kenya gani iko vipi?
Unapata from 160 to 129. Basi waache kutuambia kama uchumi umeimarika kama hai reflect huko.
In your view, Lawrence, do you think that the government is doing enough to cushion citizens from the rising cost of living?
The answer is no. Unfortunately, the answer is no. The government is more focused on optics and aesthetics than actual improvement. Because if you look at how production, you saw that debacle about fertilizers. At one point when this particular government came into office, there was allegations and counter allegations that you're telling people it's 5,000, but it's not 5,000. You're saying people it's 2,000 and all that. When you go on the ground, it's like this and like this. Like you told people that you're going to get free Medicare, and when you go, it's not like this. So the government, your question is whether the government is doing enough to cushion people. And my answer is no. It's because the government is focused on the optics. So that on paper, you're seen to be doing 1, 2, 3. You can brag about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But on the ground, those things are not possible. They're not working. Right now, if you tell people about Medicare, we have this whole issue about social health authority and how ineffective it is. You go to a hospital and they tell you we don't do that here. But on the ground, on paper, the statistics will tell you that, this amount of money has been released to the economy because of this and this. Then you go to the cost of living and you go to actually prices of food. They'll say that we pay the farmers. The farmers will say that we have not been paid. There are certain middlemen who've been paid and all that, so we will still sell our product at this rate. And the other farmers will come tell you, they bought everything from us at 4 shillings. If it gets to your table at 110, that is their business. You see, there's a very big... You remember that time that sadly in this country, some farmers were pouring out milk? They say they'd rather pour it to the ground than sell it at that bad rate.
Hata miti ya avocado walingoa.
That is how bad the economy is, because again, somewhere in the middle between where the production is done, to where it gets to the table, something is wrong there. And that is where the government should have come into place and regulated, controlled, and ensured that what is, if you put in one, the other side comes one or two, does not come out half. That's it.
Okay. And what political impact might prolonged inflation have on the current administration, especially looking ahead to the future election?
It is, there's a direct correlation to that, because we live in a society where the electorate actually makes a decision based on the day-to-day. I would term it as still hand-to-mouth kind of democracy.
Yeah.
Because it shall reach a point where the conversation will not be about infrastructure, it will not be about healthcare, it will be about food. Last time it was surrounding the price of sugar, the price of maize flour, it was just the same. So inflation and what we're looking at, now that we're looking at upcoming elections, I don't know if this may be speculative. I don't know if someone wants to put it this way, so that just before the elections, you can lower it and then take credit for it and ask for votes
and
based
use
on that.
Okay.
And I don't know if someone else would say that if it remains at this, they would promise. Now they have not done it. They will promise that we will do this.
Yeah.
We'll lower it so that we can have this and you can give us that opportunity. So there's a very, very direct correlation between inflation and how the voting pattern will be, unfortunately.
Right now matters politics.
Yes, kwenye politics, wakati rais mstaafu Uhuru Kenyatta akizungumza kwenye kongamano la wajumbe wa chama cha Jubilee,
yes,
alikashifu hatua za serikali ya sasa za kuondoa Linda Mama,
yeah,
ambayo ilikuwa inahudumia kina mama wajawazito wanajifungua. Wanaingia lakini si hata bwana anaingiaga. Wanaingia, mnatoka, mnaenda nyumbani. Tunaingia, yes. Lakini rais sijui alikuwa wapi, alikuwa ile nini ya UN, alivorudi alireact, akasema Kithure hata ndo alianza, lakini yeye aliandika kwa mtandao. Rais alivokuja alireact, akasema Linda Mama ilikuwa nzuri, lakini Linda Jamii ni nzuri zaidi, kwa sababu inaanza before, wakati wa kujifungua, na baada, na family kwa ujumla.
Yeah.
Now, swali linakuja hapa. Haya maneno ya hawa viongozi wawili, mmoja alikuwa rais na mwingine ni rais sasa. Ni yapi ambao kwamba yanasimama kwenye ule uhalisia wa kweli?
Ni yapi yanasimama?
Manake huyu mwingine hata juzi kwa kizungumza na Miriam hapa, nikamwambia wacha tuone yale ya Linda Mama. Tuliona watu wakienda wanajifungua, wanaenda. Story kata kama hakuna after, sijui before, lakini tuliona. Hii nyingine Linda Jamii, wacha tusubiri tuone. Wewe kama mchanganuzi na inaitwaje, ufahamu wako na vile ambavyo unaona mambo, hii sekta ya afya hapa ambapo kwamba imefikia hivi sasa, ukikompare Linda Mama ile na Linda Jamii, kuna mahali tumepiga hatua.
Asante. Kwanza, jambo la kwanza lazima tuelewe, Linda Mama, rais wa sasa, alikuwa mamlakani kama naibu wa rais.
Naibu rais, yes.
Wakati Linda Mama ilipokuwa inafanya kazi. Ingawaji hawezi, unajua kuna kile kitabu kinaitwa 48 Rules of Power. Kuna sheria moja kati ya hizo 48 inasema never try to outshine the master. Hivi basi Linda Mama kwa wakati wote itakuwa ni project yake rais. Wewe kama deputy huwezi kuichukulia. Sasa hiyo itakuwa project ya Uhuru. Tetesi ambazo zilikuwa zinajitokeza, na hata kwa mazungumzo yake anasema ile ilikuwa inafanya kazi. Since 2016 wakati ilikuwa implemented, imekuwa ikifanya kazi. Hasa wakati ambapo mwezi wa 6 mwaka wa 2025 wewe unataka kuireplace na nyingine. of course tunaelewa ya kuwa NHIF ambayo ilikuwa the parent, ilikuwa hiyo ndio ina effect ile ama inatimiza ile linda mama.
Yes.
Kwa sasa haiko tena,
imeondolewa.
Sasa tuko kwenye
mpango mpya wa bima
SHA.
Yes.
Sasa wewe kuiondoa ile na rebrand ili ujaribu kufutilia ile achievement ya yule aliyekuwa pale mwanzo, na rebrand mwezi wa 6 mwaka wa 2025 katika mpango ambao tayari una matatizo yake, hayafanyi kazi. Si hapo tunajibu letu kweli. Yeye mwenyewe alisema hii haijakuwa tested, ni mpya, inaahidi vitu vingi. Hii sasa ilinda jamii inaahidi vitu vingi, haijakuwa tested, inachukua pesa nyingi za kutoka kwa mlipa kodi.
Yes.
Sasa inaongeza uzito kwetu baada ya kutusaidia. Lakini ile nyingine, simple as it was, ilikuwa inasaidia pakubwa, na imekuwa hapo, imejaribiwa na imeweza kuonekana ilikuwa inafanya kazi. Hasa hapo ukiangalia mazungumzo yake huyu rais wetu wa sasa, pengine angefaa kusubiri kidogo aone ifanye kazi, alafu aseme hapo mwanzo mlisema hivi, sasa tumeshaijaribu. Lakini kwa sasa tukizungumza, rais wa zamani bado yuko sawa. Yasema ya kuwa hii haijajaribiwa. Ni kama mtu akwambie, unajua kimombo wanasema better the devil you know than the angel you don't know.
Zimu ilikujualo
halikuli likakumaliza.
Is it a matter of, and even if you're looking at this, if Linda Mama was working,
yes,
is it a matter of, as I'm getting into power, then I also want to be known for certain things? So then, if I keep what my predecessor had built, right, then every single time we'll hear this was your predecessor's project.
I will forever live under his shadow.
Yes.
Yes.
Is that the case?
It's exactly that case, because you'll find that I would call it insecure leadership. Sorry to use those terms, but when a leader is insecure, they always want to actually come out with something that will give them a brand. But at the end of the day, you can actually improve on what was there and then still take credit for the improvement. You don't have to come up with a novel idea so that we rename and reshape every single term. We have a 5-year term, because what was there, how difficult was it for the same to be improved? Did we have to rebrand it? Did we have to rename it, to scrap it off so that this other one can be tagged to your name, so that we have Uhuru's Linda Mama, Ruto's Linda Jamii? We don't need that.
Yeah.
You could have just taken up the same thing, improved it, made it better, and then, and then run with it and make it very effective. People would still remember you for effecting something that was a novel idea by someone else.
All right.
Yeah.
Now let's look at the story that is on the Standard newspaper,
Yes.
where two Kenyan activists, Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyowa, on Wednesday abducted in Uganda under unclear circumstances. The two leaders of the Free Kenya movement had traveled to Uganda to join Robert Kyagulanyi, that is Bobby Wine, that is the country's opposition
They
leader.
pronounce it as Chagulanyi.
Chagulanyi.
Yes.
My brother would beat me up. And my nanny as well.
Heri hajakusikia.
Chagulanyi.
Yes.
Robert Chagulanyi.
Yes.
So these two were abducted. From a legal standpoint, Lawrence, and human rights perspective, what concerns does this raise?
A lot. It's becoming an issue where we have the East African community that is being sabotaged by the internal mechanisms and stands on human rights by different regimes. Because we've seen the case of Boniface Mwangi in Tanzania, together with his Ugandan counterpart. And now we're seeing an instance where a Kenyan has gone there and this has happened again. Now, being a lawyer, allow me to use this very, very conservative terms of if indeed it's true that there has been an abduction that has happened in a foreign territory, then this is something that can even escalate to diplomatic issues between the two countries. But now, looking at the human rights standpoint for each regime that we have here, then they may quickly and easily sweep it under the rug, say that we can do the same way that Dr. Kizza Besigye was done to in Kenya. Someone taken from a foreign territory, handed over to the other side. So we pray And in absolute solidarity with the families of these two activists. But there's a bigger question as to what directions are we taking as a bloc, because this is the East African bloc, whereby I would not be safe to walk into Tanzania if I'm not in good terms with my own country or that country, and I would not be safe to walk into Uganda. There used to be a time where if you were being oppressed by your own regime, you could seek refuge in the neighboring country. But if the neighboring country also has the audacity to effect an abduction on you, then that means that we really need to up the game. And this is a wake-up call to the human rights activists and to everyone playing within the belt of human rights legal protection, that they need to actually do better. They need to make sure that mechanisms are there to make sure that we reduce, if not eliminate, the abductions. Because an arrest is not an abduction. An arrest is different. But again, on the flip side, Miriam, maybe if, I know I've extended the answer, but on a flip side, the question would also be, how do we operate? Do we have a free pass to go exercise our human rights activism beyond our jurisdictions?
Yeah, I think that was actually now. Yes, that's the next question. So let's just go. Yeah, do we?
Yes, please.
Do we?
We ought to have had that, but again, we need also to exercise the right that we are given and the grace that you're given as a guest in another country. We need to exercise a lot of caution with that, because it will be seen like you're going to desecrate another country's sovereignty when you go there and you want to do your activism there. What message are you sending? Are there no activists in Uganda? Are there no activists in Tanzania? Do we have, how unique was it for you as a Kenyan to go conduct your activism ideas and activities in a different territory? And under what capacity? Are you holding your diplomatic passport? Are you holding your tourist visa? What are you holding when you go there to do this?
Does that mean that when I leave when I leave Kenya and I go to a different country, let's say Uganda, and I'm an activist, does that mean that I'm not protected?
Ideally, your protections are supposed to be as one, you're protected as a foreign individual in that country. But human rights should be human rights cutting across the board, except in certain circumstances where you go that there are contextual differences. Let's say, I need to qualify that, contextual social differences. If I go to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and my activism here was maybe removing my shirt and everything, and it is illegal there, I cannot bring that there. I'll be definitely arrested. But if we are cutting across the board that we know that whatever you're doing is not illegal, then you should enjoy the protection as every other citizen of that country. But number two, you should observe what status you are on. If you're on a tourist visa or if you're a diplomatic guest, there are certain things you're not supposed to engage in. So looking at it from a legal perspective, like a diplomatic dignitary in this country cannot be seen to be in the streets on a protest to oust the government. You see, that would make your diplomatic status be revoked. Now, as a guest in that country, you need to check the immigration status provisions that you don't surpass what you're supposed to do. So you cannot say, I'm an activist now, I'm going to there to do activism, yet your status does not allow.
Okay. Mimi hapo swali langu liko. Hawa walikuwa wanaenda ku-attend mkutano wa kisiasa. Kwa sababu wale wako kwenye campaign. Tukiondoa hayo mambo ya wanaharakati na nini. Walikuwa si yetu wamejialika. Wamealikwa na mwenyeji wao ambaye ni huyo cha Bobby Wine. Ambaye all the time, hata jana alikuwa anataka kwenda kwa rally na barabara ilikuwa barricaded. Tayari ameshazuiliwa hata before afike kwa destination. Now hawa hawakuwa wameenda kiuharakati. Wameenda wageni, lakini wameenda kusupport huyo mgombea kisiasa. So
Waruhusiwa kweli?
Kwani
Waruhusiwa? Wajua nchi hii hatufai kufanya kile wamombo wanaita selective amnesia. Wakumbuka wakati ule ilikuwa katika harakati za siasa zilikuwa zinajaribu kutulia wakati wa Kibaki, kisha tukakuwa na watu wawili wa asili ya Kiarmenia wakakuja hapa nchini.
Atur Margarian na Sagarsti.
Wow, sasa. Walipofika hapa, status yao haikuwa inajulikana. Hujui kama ni wageni, hujui kama ni diplomatic, kama ni hao wa diplomasia ama hujui ni nani. Lakini wako hapa kwa mwaliko wa mtu. Sasa anayekualika anafaa kuijulisha nchi na the security protocol, kila kitu, vitu kama hivyo. Lakini wewe ni siku gani umeona mwanasiasa wa nchi ya nje akikuja kupiga siasa hapa Kenya? Utasema umealikwa ndio, lakini wale wanaweza ona ni kama unataka kufanya subversion. Subversion ni kule kupindua serikali kwa njia nyingine. Sababu wewe leo wataka kwenda kufanya mkutano wa kisiasa Kaloleni au Msambweni.
Yes.
Kisha umemuita rafiki yako wa kutoka Mozambique.
Ndiyo.
Ambaye ni mwanaharakati. Kibinafsi kule ni mwanaharakati, lakini anasema mimi nimekuja tu hapa kuhudhuria hii na kumpa support. Kumpa support kwa hali gani? Yeye si mwakilishi wa hiyo nchi. Yeye ni mtu kibinafsi hivyo. Unajua kuna maswali mengi yanaibuka kutokana na hiyo.
Ni kosa hilo tayari.
Maswali mengi. Yes.
Legally wako wrong, morally.
What role then, if you're looking at our Kenyan, no, before that,
yes,
would such an abduction, if confirmed, that
Yes.
is, constitute a violation of Uganda's obligation under international human rights law?
Absolutely. Because I believe Uganda, just like Kenya, is a signatory to most treaties and protocols that protect against actually forcible disappearances. That would qualify under an abduction. You know, at the end of the day, if you have signed, the differences between Kenya and Uganda in terms of the constitution and most of the acts that they have is barely minimal. So when we are trying to mirror what Uganda has and what we have, they're also signatories to most of these protocols.
Yeah.
So they are mandated to protect and safeguard the interest of the people. If there's some offense that someone has done, then that person ought to be arrested and presented to a court. And if it's a deportation related offense, then that person be deported to Kenya after having gone through the normal processes. But if there's a forcible disappearance that has been done through abduction, then Uganda would be in gross violation of human rights and that protocol that protects against the same.
All right. What role then does the Kenyan government play in ensuring that the safety and return of the citizens in such a situation?
Of course, the Kenyan government has to step in.
Yeah.
Whenever such a thing is mentioned, then we have I believe the permanent secretary is still Mr. Not Mr. but Council Korir Singwei. They need to actually get in touch as soon as possible with the diplomatic protocol in Uganda. That is the Kenyan consulate or the Kenyan embassy, to check on the whereabouts, to get an official statement from the police service in Uganda, as well as other security agencies, so that they can give a report. Because if they've been abducted, then that becomes even something that the local police have to take care of. So before Kenya does anything, Kenya needs to reach out to their counterparts so that the counterparts gives us a statement. After they've given us a statement, then that is pursued so that these people are rescued from wherever they are, so that they are handed back over to Kenya. Yes.
All right. And lastly, does this incident signal a growing trend of repression beyond borders? Because we've seen something similar that happened in Tanzania as well, now especially among East African nations. Could this chill political activism in the region?
Not chill per se, but it actually, there are things that when you have embers of fire and then the wind, you try to turn it off by blowing it, it makes it even bigger.
Okay.
So in essence, I would look at it as a wake-up call to this particular government so that they can find different ways of dealing with this. have legislation so that you can regulate who comes and exercises what rights in your country, as opposed to taking barbaric and unorthodox ways of dealing with them. So if they think at some point that abductions and things like that will make activism now grow cold, the answer is no, because this actually fans the flame and embers of activism and human rights protection so much that other people will now go there to demand for that, and now it will be a full-blown activity across the board, which maybe, to make an omelette, you have to break some eggs. Maybe these are the eggs that are being broken so that we can have the omelette now that we have the full observation of human rights protection and activism across the Eastern African bloc.
All right. Thank you so much, Lawrence, for making time.
Highly appreciate.
We have been speaking to Lawrence Obonyo. He is an advocate of the High Court of Lawrence Obonyo Legal Advocates. And you know what? That is stories making headlines.
Yes.
Across the week.
Very nice.
Very nice. What?
Zimekuwa nzuri. Digested.
What have you learned?
Kwamba nilidhulumiwa. Tukianza kule juu.
Yeah.
Kule kwa
corporal punishment.
Walinidhulumu. Hiyo ni dhuluma walinifanyia. Alafu namba 2, yote inakaa tu dhuluma. Uchumi. Sijui inflation, sijui nini, kumbe for a long time tulikuwa tunajidanganya. Hiyo story ni yao hapo, huku tuko sisi tu. In the maneno ya wakili, pambana, tafuta pesa, jipange.
Pambana na hali yako.
Pambana na hali yako. Haya mambo mengine wachana nayo. The other thing, wewe kama ni activist, wewe activist yako fanya kwenu.